Cool. So let's look at the name stuff then, because I think it's important to start practicing that. Because names, just like the numbers, I'm glad we've done numbers first, because that makes you realize that, you know, it's actually not that easy to remember names. It's not that easy. Like this here, I can't draw a 3, it was about to be a 7. This is a name. If I write in a different language, that's going to be like a name.
Yeah.
It's all gobbledygook. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, you know, you've got a name, let's say Stephen, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. What can you do, right? So I always try to think, okay, there's a couple of things I can do. I can create visualizations of what Stephen is to me. Like every person's Stephen is different. So I ask myself questions. Do I know a Stephen? Right? Okay. Now, it might not be in real life. You might know someone that's a celebrity. Right? So if you know, I know Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
Right? Actor, Aikido person. So I've got that in my image. So I've created an image. Right? Steve, I can create a stiff person. Right? Stiff. So you don't have to go the whole, you know, whole name. Right? Steve, stiff. What else can you do? Like if I asked you.
Well, I've got a friend, Stephen Armstrong, and for him, he got hit by a car at almost 100 km an hour and survived.
Yeah.
So that's what I.
It's his bicep.
Yeah.
His arm is really strong.
Yeah.
So he's got a stiff arm. His bicep. Stiff arm but really strong. Right, so you got both names. Yeah, you don't need the end because you'll get it eventually. It's like a trigger for the rest of the name. Yeah. So you can use your personal, you know, obviously connection to the name, right? What about names you don't know of, right? Let's say I'm just totally making this name up, right? It could be Sing Lee or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Sing.
This is a very good example.
Yeah, so it's like, well, what do I do there? Right? I think, okay, sing. Now you think of sing, like singing.
Yeah.
Right? So again, I've created an image, and what I've used this time is I've made a play on the word itself.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to create an image. So I've used sin or sin, you know, sing. And Lee, well, I'm thinking of jeans, I'm thinking of Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
You know, and possibility that this person might be Asian as well. Again, I'm just stereotyping.
Yeah, but that's fine. All you've got to do is remember the word.
It doesn't matter if you do it in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's just, again, triggering.
Just gotta be careful when you're saying it.
Exactly, yeah, it's just triggering stuff in your head. You know, you're doing it for a good reason. Yeah, so now you've got singing, you've got Bruce Lee, right? So that's how you remember the name. However, a name is always attached to a person, right?
Yeah.
So you can remember the name perfectly, but still see the person and go, what was your name, right? That's where you need connection. That's what memory is. So you've got the person here, right? Here you go. At least they're smiling. So I'll draw some hair as well, some afro. So there's Sing Lee, right? You've already made Sing here, and you made maybe, let's say, Bruce Lee, right? You have to connect it to this person now, right? So what are you going to do?
Bruce Lee singing.
Yeah, Bruce Lee singing.
Kicking while he's singing, probably.
Even better, because now you're using one of Bruce Lee's attribute. Yeah, it's an action. If you use attributes, then that makes you memorize it more. Like, for example, if I say door, and you visualize, oh yeah, it's a door, but I'm opening the door, I'm sliding the door, then that's even more memorable.
And that's what I did with the uncle one, was slamming my uncle's head into like that with the door.
Yeah, that works. So that's how you do it, but you have to connect it to the person. Like for me, Tansel, someone just, you know, they can't just say tinsel, tinsel, tinsel. They'll still forget. Like they might remember it, but they might not, right? But if they put tinsel around my head, like literally connect it to me,
Yeah.
then next time they see me, I'm the location. It's like the location method, right?
Yeah.
I'm the person is the location. That's the subject. So if they see me, they go, hang on, what was Tinsel doing around their head? Ah, Tansel, right? They'll remember that I doesn't really matter. It's the connection from there. So that's a good one. All right.
And that's what I've got to. I'm in charge of 45 international students with Sin Min.
Yeah.
Well, some of the Vietnamese kids, but
Yeah.
Min, Tran, Min. We've
Yeah.
got kids who've got, and I know them, but I can never associate the name.
Yeah.
And admittedly, I've never made much of an attempt, but...
All right, let's say you got a train.
Yeah.
Right? Put an eye on there, train.
Yeah.
But you could picture that person on a train. So using an actual location is another method. It's like, for example, if you meet an Elizabeth, right? You can picture Queen Elizabeth, someone that you know, right?
Yeah.
However, where does Queen Elizabeth live, right? You could say, you know, Buckingham Palace. So you meet an Elizabeth, you picture them in Buckingham Palace. You don't necessarily have the Queen there, right? So you see a train, every train you see from now on might just be on the train with you.
Yeah.
Right? Then all you need to do is get their first name or surname or whatever it is. You know, you said Ming Train before, right? You say Ming, okay, well, what comes to in my mind for Ming?
Ming Dynasty vase.
Yeah, the vase, right? So Ming Dynasty vase. Now, you get, again, very careful not to say, oh yeah, your name was Vase.
Yeah.
Right? But how many other vases do you have names for, right? Ming Dynasty, you've got a certain image in your head, so you probably always remember that, right? It'll probably be with a Y instead of an I or however it's spelled, but you'll get it, right? So again, you're connecting. So here you've got your Ming Dynasty vase. You know, maybe they're just sitting with it on the train while you're doing your work.
Yeah.
And so you've got that in there, right? And if there's a few trans, they're all in the same, you know, sort of seating area. Yeah. So it works really good. So train. You can have lots of other words, obviously.
How do you connect them then to, like, do you then put them in a placeholder or a loci? No?
No, remember the person is the location.
The person
is the location. Yeah, you don't need to put people in locations. Because remember, locations are places that you go to retrieve your memorized information from.
Yeah.
Right? So in order to remember a name, you look at the person.
Yeah.
And the person, then the story that you made, then you retrieve that from the person. You don't go to the location.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, unless you had, you know, 50, 60, 100 people to remember and memorize their names, right? And you want to do pre-memorization, for example, you could put them in locations and go bang, 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 right? But even then, it's like, it's not really needed, right? Because then you'd have to go and create locations if you haven't created them, or, you know, it's good practice for locations. If you wanted to train for it, that's doable. But, you know, I don't know if anyone uses locations really to get the order. Maybe in competition, who knows? But in real life, you don't need it. You just need the person as the location, create the story, that's it. Next time you see them, I remember you on the train, with holding the vase. Ming Train.
Alright.
Yeah.
I might bring in their photos.
Bring them in, because what we can do, because with photos, now you have visual cues to connect to as well, right? So for example, one of the students might have a big nose, right?
Yeah.
So you go, okay, big nose, what can I do with this? Right? Maybe he knocked his, you know, maybe Ming Train's got a big nose, let's say, and he's knocked his nose on the vase.
Yeah.
It's so big. Or he's tapping on it with his nose
Yeah.
on the vase. So start using features, you know, if they've got really curly hair, you know, what can you do with that, you know?
Because I always remember Vanessa's, because I went to school with a girl who had big boobs, and for some reason I remember Vanessa the undresser.
There you go. So emotional attachment.
Yeah.
You know, we remember, like, that's why I remember a lot as kids, because of the emotional elements it's had. I mean, anything emotional that helps you to remember. That was visual and emotional, so that connects.
Yeah.
Right. So you can use that same thing there as well. So every Vanessa you make, you know, pretend. I mean, you don't tell them that.
No, no.
But it's funny that people come to me. So what did you make for my name? And if it's not sort of rude or naughty, I just make up something on the spot. They go, oh yeah, that's nice. It's quite funny. Yeah, so train, tram, you know, all that sort of stuff. I wouldn't go tram, because then you'll probably, you might trigger tram, but then you might sort of, you know, get the ending there. It doesn't really matter that much, but for some names it does. All right, so what about if you get a name like, this is never going to happen, but why not? VJ, Rangan,
Oh, we've got kids like that at school.
Chandran. This is really easy, because I did this with one of my clients who's Indian, and you know, he told me how the names work. I'm like, oh, that's so much easier to remember, because these names, like Sri Lankan names, Indian names, they're super long. But here's the thing, they have meanings behind them. So as soon as you know the meaning, it's like, oh, that's quite easy to remember. So our names are really abstract, whereas these names, they actually have a story behind them. So if you know the story, you know the whole name. So, you know, for us Westerners, it seems really difficult.
and the other thing that I, because of the way that I was taught English, whole word learning, I can't phonetically break. Like, I can look at that word there, and I can get the first 3 letters, but I can't get the other 7.
Yeah. So let's go through then. Let's break it down. I should be using black text. None here today. I'm gonna have to buy some of my own. Bring my own. I always have my own. Like every teacher, educator has to have their own. But you know, you sort of trust these places that have some. Cool. So how would you go about memorizing this name, right? Now I used to work with this guy, Vijay. So that's how I really love his name. Great guy too. So again, something like this, you can't obviously just get it all in one go. You have to break it down.
Yeah.
Right. So I break it down as in how I see it.
Yeah.
People can break it down their own way. So I break down Vijay. I might have Arangan, right? Rama, and then Chanda. I might do that, right?
Yeah. That
so
makes
this
sense
is how
to
I
me.
see it. I see it as in VJ. Now, all I'm doing now, remember the yellow elephant model, right? I've got something that's abstract, number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2 is I create images, right? So I have to create an image. So VJ, I've got DJ.
Yeah.
Right, I've got as in a DJ. Orangan, I've got my little daughter.
Orangutan, but
Orangutan, yeah, my little daughter's got red hair, so she's a little ranger. But you can think of, you know, orangutan.
Yeah.
Orangu. Is that how you spell it?
Oh,
I don't even know.
Doesn't matter.
Is there a G? I don't even know
I'm not
if
even
it's a G.
be able to tell you.
Orangutan. Tang, doesn't matter. I'll put N because it's similar to that. Rama. Now, I could think of a lot of things, but I think of drama.
Okay.
And then drama. And Chandran. Now, in our beautiful language, we are Chandaring.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I could put, you know, Chanda. Chanda. Yeah, I know it's got Ran there, but we can play with it. Now, okay, so I've created the images. So the next step after images is to create the association, right? So that was number 3 on the yellow elephant model, the association part, so making the story. So now we've got a DJ, right? What happens next?
DJ orangutan. I'm going to say DJ's playing to the orangutan.
Yeah, playing to the orangutan. Or remember, if we want a real strong connection, we have to physically connect these things. So DJ is DJing away at the nightclub, wherever they is, and orangutan just jumps on him. Yeah. Right? Starts messing with his hair and his equipment, all that sort of stuff.
Can you go? Is there any use in going backwards? So the orangutan is the DJ?
Well, if you did it that way, then when you're trying to recall the name, you'll go orangutan DJ. Yeah. So that's why we have to really do it this way. I know some things are really easy going the other way.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that with the words.
Yeah,
as well. But this is a really good practice as well for doing things sort of not intuitively. So you've got a DJ, orangutan jumps on him, right? Now it creates all this drama at the nightclub, right? There's so much drama going on. There's people running around, right? A lot of chaos, drama. And then because of that, people are just chumbering everywhere. So not a nice little scene for this name. Obviously, I wouldn't tell this story to that person. But, you know, you've got that. You can play around with it. Now, something like this, you're not going to do within seconds in front of the person.
No.
Right? It'll take you, not even the world's best memorizers could, you know, pull this off when there's lots of people around, right? So it's something that requires a bit of effort. Now the trick is to go faster, is to like if you're meeting people, write their names down, and you know, or even get their business cards, or if you're in business, or they're students, well, their names will already be there. So it's always pre-planning, and if you don't ever get that and they say their name, look, we're human, we say, sorry, I didn't get that full name. I mean, if they have a name like this, I'll probably say their name's Steve anyway. Or VJ. But you know, if they do give you something like that, you say, okay, I acknowledge the name, you know, how do you spell it, blah, 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 you can write it down. You know, the onus is on you. And it's not always the case that you're going to remember everyone, right? But there's always stuff you can do to remember. So,
well, I get it. I interview a lot of international kids via Skype.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll interview them, and I'll be able to tell you what the kids like if I see their photo. So when I go to the director of admissions, I have to have the photo there, and then I can tell you the conversation, but I can never remember their names. So I'm associating that with the face, but I'm not making any association with the name. Where this woman is really good with the names, and will come back to me and say, oh, you spoke to James Chung, what did you think of him? And I'll go, no idea, show me his photo.
Yeah, it's like saying you spoke to 6984127. Well, what does that mean? So all you had to do was, once you have this story, connect that story to his history. That's it. That's all you need to do. Connect that story that you've got. That just becomes an added addition now. Connect that to, obviously you've got the face, so you have to somehow connect it to the face. Because remember, if you just memorize the name, you memorize the name, not exactly to the person. So you've got to connect this to, you know, the actual individual, and then always connect to the individual. Right? But as practice, you don't need to connect to individuals, right? You can just get a whole list of names and go through and create stories. Right? There's a lot of them around in terms of lists of names and stuff. You can just go to a list book.
Well, I've got the list.
You can go to LinkedIn or Facebook or any of these social media, scroll through and look at all these names. That's what I do. And look at all these names and just create stories. And you'll be fascinated, because it's highly multicultural, right? These social media. So you'll get some that are French and, you know, Asian. You'll get African. You'll get all sorts of names. That's really good practice.
Well, I've got the 40 odd international student names here.
Amazing.
So I might have a go at that on the way home.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff, but you always have to connect it to that person. If you really want to memorize, if you're just practicing, if you're training how to remember names, then, you know, making up stories like this is essentially effective, helping you to, you know, create stories. You know, because the story making is, you know, that's the key to the names. Obviously, creating the images, because that's something that you're having difficulty with. But this is exactly like the numbers, exactly like the numbers, right? And I think I mentioned to you last time as well, a lot of these, you know, real hard memory experts, you know, hardcore ones, they're really good at memorizing cards and numbers, because they've pre-memorized images, but when it comes to names, they haven't pre-memorized all of them, right? Because there's just so many names, and they sit there and try and create, and they struggle, right? And once they have the image, the story is within, you know, seconds they make it, because that's what they're used to. So they always struggle, right? That's where I've been good at, because I've been doing this. I've been training the creative element for a while. That's why I've always been good with names, and the story element as well. So this is extremely powerful stuff. Yeah. So any questions on this one?
No.
Yeah. So when you've got names, yeah, it's about having a strategy as well. You've got the technique.
Yeah.
And the strategy is, well, when can I use the technique? If you've got all that information, well, I can prepare for it now. If you've got no information, well, I'll just write it down. You know, you're not going to memorize it. You don't have to try and memorize it. You can do it, but if there's just so many people and you haven't got the time or whatever, I mean, like I said, we're human. So write things down, or maybe just, if you can, create an image. That's probably the quickest thing you can do, is try and create an image, right? But if you're slow at that, then just writing them down and using that for later, and then creating images later, that works as well.
Because I should be able to do that, because I normally meet them in like ones or twos when they first come into the school. Yeah. So, and I've got access to, or pre-access to all their photos and stuff like that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I sometimes go into schools and they've got photos and names on the walls, so just go around practicing as well. It's great. It's great. Do you have any names now? Because he said how you had 40. Just want to work on one more name, real life name.
Okay.
I know we haven't. You haven't got the photo there, have you?
Sorry, International Council, overseas pastoral notes. No, I thought I might have, but
yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
I've been meaning to update it, but basically, there you go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was spot on, wasn't I? With the name. Gee. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, wow, no wonder you're saying difficulty with names. Who wouldn't be difficult?
So there's my example, the new ones.
Yeah, new ones,
Nat, Min, and Min Nat.
Oh dear me. So again, that's an order thing. So that's a great little, I mean, I won't go through the thing, but if you've got order, remember, that's not going to be an issue too much as well. Remember, if they've got the same name, right? Same name, I'll just put name 1 here, name 2, right? Because I want to keep it obviously confidential.
Yeah.
Then you've got here name 2 from here, and then name 1, right? The story's still going to change. It's going to be different, right? Because the image you have here, right, connects to obviously the image you have here, and the image you have here connects to the image you have there, right? So the order is going to be totally different. Now, what you can do with that, even though they're the same things, you can put them in different environments. Different environments. Like this one, maybe they sit differently. Maybe they're different features. So this is where the physical appearance comes in as well. Yeah. Right? Is there any defining features that you can think of that are different for each student?
I can't even see the kid's name. Kid's face.
Yeah. Okay. So if you look at their faces, you might find that, okay, maybe one's a bit shorter than the other. So I'm going to use that in my story now. Yeah. Or maybe one's a little bit larger, or they've got big ears. Or again, it's just playing around with the features so that, even if you had 2 people with the exact same name, like you had 2 John Smiths, right? I can guarantee they're going to look totally different or act different. Their mannerisms are different. So you can take that as well and use that to your advantage. So yeah, there's never a real challenge to remember a name. It's more so understanding the process. The process is going to be a challenge, like how do I actually go about doing it? Yeah. You've got the techniques, and this is why a lot of people just come to me. It's not because they don't know the techniques, they don't know the approach on how to, use a strategy. They don't have a strategy. Yeah. So